Thank you so much for the opportunity to have this conversation with you about Mario going to the museum and this journey. As you know, I'm someone who's very passionate about children and how they learn in these conversations. And I'm interested in watching this journey unfold because it's a beautiful thing and very inspiring. So first, thank you for that.
And thank
So
you. Thank you. I appreciate this opportunity to talk to you and also to hear your thoughts about the book. So this is exciting.
yeah, so one of the first questions that I had is I know you have several other books. You've got some poetry books, you have some other things that you're working on. And I was just curious to know, like, what made you realize, because it's obvious that you're in a space that you should be in, what made you realize that children also need to hear from Dr. Dupas?
It's so interesting because this idea came to me not even first as a children's book, but it came to me as a necessary conversation to have about children, right? So I'm working on an adult fiction novel. I'm working on some academic writing. And then one day I was like, I'm going to write this story. I'm going to write something about the museum space that is accessible for children, because the conversations that I want to have are with adults. The things that I want to say are, it's another conversation for another day. But because I am in the museum field, I have a lot of thoughts about that space and the ways in which it can be inclusive or the ways in which it can be exclusionary. And in my role, previously more so than now, I worked with youth. They were, however, high school students. But even in doing that, I've always been interested about the experience of children in the museum. So initially when it came to me, I was just watching and observing. And I remember I used to write Facebook posts and engage with adults on it. It was just interesting content about the way in which sometimes we police ourselves and the ways in which people police us in public spaces, and especially in museums. And then that kind of transpired into this children's story. So I don't remember how long it was ago, but I would say things like, I'm going to write a book about, children in a museum. And it was just a statement, it was a thought that became a statement. But it really is a gift. It's really this surprise to me because I remember I was sitting on the couch. I don't remember what kind of day I'd had. I was binge watching something. And then I was just inspired to get a notepad and to start writing. And maybe I can attribute some of that to reading to my nephew as well, even though it wasn't a book about museums. But I do know that I thought about one of his books a lot when I started to write this one. But I was like, I'm going to package this in a way where I can begin the conversation, a way that's not intimidating, a way that's not angry or resentful for some of the things that Black and brown people go through, but I'm going to package it to start a conversation. And then by the time I finished watching one of these shows, I had a draft of a story written.
Nice. That is awesome. That is awesome.
That is how it went down.
And it kind of leads into my next question, which was, why the museum and why is this story important specifically? So there are things that you embedded in this story that get to some of the things that you were alluding at. Can you explain or expound a little bit on what those things specifically are? Like, what should we get from this museum experience?
I think that my main goal is to send the message to children that they belong in museum spaces, but not only to children, but to parents as well. Now, I know so many adults who love museums, who go to museums frequently. So this is not some type of overarching statement about parents in general, but I also know, because of the work that I do, that I am meeting a lot of young people who are entering museums for the first time as teenagers, right? They're almost young adults when they're first entering museum spaces. And what I see is this dissonance or this disequilibrium that happens when you, as a human being, walk into this gigantic space that's full of things that you feel are distant from you, or you
Yeah.
feel are not accessible to you. And the people that are there to make them accessible sometimes don't look like you, or in their interactions with you, they feel like you might feel like they don't understand you. I've seen these things, I've read about it, I've studied it because I also train docents. And so I just wanted with this story to just open up that dialogue, to take this big thing that's actually wonderful, but can also be intimidating, and present it to parents and to the children that they read to, so that young people at ages 4, 5, and 6, if they have not been to a museum before, they get introduced to the space and they begin to have conversations about the space, so that when they enter the space, they're prepared. Okay, this is going to be a huge building
Yeah.
filled with things I've never seen before and people that I've never seen before. And oh my God, there's rules. And okay, I understand those rules. So I don't need anyone to try and teach me those rules. I don't have to wait for someone to make me uncomfortable or to embarrass me, because I've already taken that journey with Mario. So just trying to get people into the museum space, and if they intend to be in the museum space, to just give them a book that starts the conversation about the museum space.
Oh, I love that. I love that. All right. So you talked about, how you ended up in the space writing for children. Now you talked a little bit about why the museum particularly is important to you. So can you tell us exactly what are some of the emotions and feelings that you're hoping people take away from this experience? Like, what exactly should we be feeling? Because you talked a little bit about, it being intimidating and those type of words that children can experience. So how are you addressing those things in this book?
I'm hoping that people will leave with a sense of pride. The way I was crafting the story, I was trying to be very mindful of all the emotions Mario might have, but also to be very specific about the emotion that he feels at the end. And so he is sort of conquering this unknown space, and he's also learning about himself as a little Black boy. I want for parents to see themselves in Mario's dad, in the role that he's playing and the experience that he provides for his son. Again, that's going to be familiar to a lot of parents. But also to be proud of Mario and his
Yeah.
growth. And I want young children to look at Mario and see the same thing. It's like, oh, Mario has gone to a museum. So if they've not been to one, or even not been interested to go to one, I would love to inspire them, that interest in them, that eagerness in them.
Yeah.
Even during this time right now where, we have to be careful because of COVID-19, but trouble don't last always, right?
Exactly.
And even
Exactly.
in there, there's an opportunity to still venture to some places safely. So when they can, I want them to be ready. But there's this eagerness that I want people to feel, and then certainly this pride that I want people to feel. But ultimately, I'm going to always go back to the fact that we belong in these spaces. And even if it's a space that's different than the one that Mario goes to, I don't care if it's a science museum, if it's something very specific, if it's a train museum. Those places are there for all of us, to gain from, to explore, to be more knowledgeable, to be more culturally aware than we were before we entered them. So, go in there, figure out, what there is to be discovered, and discover it, because it's for you. It's not reserved for any one type of people. But what I know about the museum space, going back to one of your earlier questions, is that they exist, they're there, but not every museum does a great job of letting the communities that they belong to or reside in understand that those spaces are theirs. There might be times where a museum is doing more outreach to groups and neighborhoods that are far away from them than they do at reaching the people that are in walking distance or train rides distance. You know what I mean? So just trying to bridge that gap in a tender way, to
I
start
love that.
young, because I can talk to adults all day, but this gives me an opportunity to talk to young people.
I love that. And I'll say, as someone who's passionate about working with young people, one of the best things that we can teach them is how to properly take up space, how to not shrink
Yes.
back in certain things. And so I do feel in this book, you have done a phenomenal job of explaining how Mario properly takes up space, and how he belongs there, and how, and even a very clear distinction of the space that his father takes up, and some of the other, people that are interactive. Everyone plays a role on this trip.
Yeah.
So I love that. I think that that's definitely something for people who are reading to pay attention to, and you did a phenomenal job with that. So
Thank you. That was really a interesting space to navigate. And I feel like I still have room to play around with the idea of taking up space. Because I certainly learned that late in life. And then after I learned it, I'm sorry to everybody I have
yeah.
to interact with,
No
because
apologies,
I'm
no
here.
apologies.
I'm
Right.
here to take up space. You know what I mean? It's a sorry, not sorry, but sorry guys, like this is what I'm supposed to do.
Absolutely.
And I had to battle how to present that through Mario's story, because museums do have rules, and so the idea is not to go and be a renegade, but just to understand what the expectations are, but to know that even in a museum space where there's rules, you sort of fall into place, because like you can't go in there and break glass, or you can't go in there and ruin an artifact, but it doesn't mean that you can't explore that artifact. And so there's this interesting balance that we have to play in life, that I was trying to also navigate with this children's story, but I'm hoping that it'll inspire conversations about rules, about expectations, about why we might not be able to touch things or run in spaces. And that even when we have to concede to rules, there's still value in us, right? So,
Right.
the
Right.
tagline that I have about precious items, like you are as valuable as anything that's inside of a museum. So it's so much to discuss, but I'm hoping that that's where parents will pick up the ball and just give their children what they feel their children need, based on the things that Mario experiences.
I love that. And that kind of leads me to another thought process. So you talk a little bit about parents, Mario's dad in the book, parents seeing themselves in those characters as well. So can you talk a little bit about some of the resources that you've either embedded into the story, or things that may be available for families to continue the conversation, either before going to the museum or after? Are there resources available to
Yeah.
continue the
Thanks to
conversation?
wonderful people like you, and those who participated in the live reading that I had earlier on. I've included a question guide. And so the question guide has over 20 questions in there. I've grouped them for younger children and older children, although parents can decide which questions are appropriate. Teachers can decide which questions are appropriate. Aunties can decide, uncles can decide, based on the children that you read to. There might be questions that they are either too young, or maybe they're older and so they need something more complicated. And so it's just a opportunity for parents to explore that list, for teachers to explore that list, and to decide what it is that they want their young people to answer. As an auntie, I'm looking at all those questions, and I know that my niece, who's currently 9, can
Mhm.
answer all of them. Or maybe I could turn one into a little essay question if I wanted to play school
Exactly.
with her. But I think it's a wonderful resource in the back of each of these books to get the conversation started with the young people. And I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, me too. I think that would be great. And can they continue the conversation like online at Mari? Is it Mario Goes to the Museum? Is that the
Oh yeah, the
hashtag?
hashtag is Mario Goes to the Museum. And I've already started a conversation with adults. I've started to ask them questions online just about their own museum experiences and the museum experiences of the children that they they care for, and I'm hoping that those questions will continue to spark some conversation after the book is available this Friday, November the 20th. But yeah, I certainly want to keep the conversation going. The hashtag is very specific to this book right now, and I appreciate that. And so my website, RebeccaDupas.com. This book has a landing page. People can certainly reach me that way. But I'm really, really eager to see how the conversations live on social media. And so the hashtag, I've been using it on both Instagram and Facebook. I hope that when people grab the book, they'll, take a picture, let me know, but also let me know what their young people are saying and feeling as they are going through this journey with Mario.
Yes, I'll be following that because I love those conversations, and I've already been participating in that. And I'll say, as someone who grew up loving museums, the beautiful thing, even for adults in this conversation, like my youngest is in her 20s, but we've been having conversations about, museum and the museum experience, because sometimes you forget how the museum it's a lot of children's first field trip in school.
Yeah.
So a lot of the times it's a significant opportunity. Maybe it's an opportunity for a parent to chaperone or something, a time that it's educator gets their class out of school. So these are a lot of the times significant markers in our life, and these conversations can remind us of other experiences that we may have affiliated with the museum, because it's not necessarily an everyday word, but hopefully after November 20th, it will be a household conversation.
Yeah.
Absolutely confident of that.
Thank you. Oh, I hope I pray.
Yes, absolutely. And ongoing, because museums are ever changing, so that's the beauty of the conversation, is that it's not a static conversation. So one week you can go to the museum and experience something at 9, then they read the book again at 11, and it's they have a different perspective. There's other museums, other exposures. So I love how people have the opportunity or the potential to grow up with Mario in the conversation. So really quickly, can you tell us, not quickly, but in your time, tell us a few things that we should know about Mario and how you developed the character. Like what were some things that were important to you in the development of Mario and his father, and those things as it pertains to the story?
I really want to thank the illustrator, CJ Love, because I knew that Mario was around 9. I knew that Mario had on a blue polo shirt in my mind, and some little jean shorts and some blue sneakers to match his shirt. I knew that, and I also knew that he had a very close haircut and possibly a fade. That was my vision for Mario. Mario has on a little button-up shirt, not a polo shirt, but when I saw it, I said, yes,
that's him.
that's Mario. And I think that Mario is cute, and I think that Mario's daddy is handsome. And I'm really appreciative of whatever inspired the illustrator to give me those specific aesthetics. But I remember asking him specifically for, Mario to be a little brown boy. And to be consistent, not consistent, but to be thoughtful about complexion of his parents. I remember specifically saying I would like for each of them to be a darker tone. For me, I was thinking about representation. Your smile and your nose might not be exactly like Mario, but I wanted people who are Black and brown to see themselves somewhere in the book, whether it be in the parents and Mario or one of the people who work at the front desk of the museum. But I just wanted him to be a little boy that was relatable. I wanted him to be cool, or trying to be cool. I think I used the words, he hasn't found his cool all the way, like he's working on it,
Yeah.
Maybe he's looking up to his dad a little bit. And when I saw him, I just fell in love with him. He has the cutest smile.
He does.
The warmest little eyes. I just love Mario.
I do too.
And for his name, it's interesting. I was looking for alliteration one of the favorite books that I love to read to my nephew. Shout out to my friend Lou. I call her Lou. Her name is Nicole, for recommending a book called Max and the Tagalong Moon, because I told her that my nephew is infatuated with the moon. He asked me to take him to the moon, and I couldn't take him there. And I was like, I need a way to take him to the moon because I can't disappoint this little boy. You know, that's my heart. All of them are, but when they're young, they like my special, the little special part of my heart.
Yeah.
So anyway, what were you gonna say?
I said it's different. It's different when
It's different when they little.
Yeah.
So you gotta give them the world, or let them know that the world is accessible. So I was like, I can't take him to he was like, let's walk. He wanted to walk to the moon, and I was like, how do I break this to him? But anyway, I got him the book, and he loves it. And he is a busybody, but he would sit and he would listen to me read Max and the Tagalong Moon. And so for me, as a former English teacher, always a teacher, but as a former classroom teacher, I was like, I like that title, Max and the Tagalong Moon. It was the alliteration that got me. So when I was thinking about museum, I was like, okay, his name is going to start with the M. And I was going through, and when I said Mario, it was perfect. I think that Mario is a name that's very, very culturally diverse. You know, it's not one particular race that has that name in particular. I'm using particular a lot, but anyway. And so I love that because it's not just about complexion representation. The name is also a part of the representation, at least for me. And I was like, you know, Mario can be a little Italian boy. He could be a Hispanic boy or Latinx boy. He can be a black boy. He could be something. He could be across the spectrum. And I like him not being boxed in. You know, I love that. So those were the things that I was thinking about. And then this is what we have.
He's so cute. And I'll say that partial cool, finding this cool is definitely, like, you can see it. There's it's a calm curiosity. Like you can tell in the story, like he wants to not disappoint his father in the space, but there's a curiosity there that really comes across in that comes in that age group. Mm-hmm. And it comes across in the book, and he did a illustrator phenomenal job. I think he really absolutely did. Adorable. Yes,
he really did. He and I remember when I first I saw Mario, then I saw the father, and I made a little joke about how handsome the father was, and he was like, I don't know what to say to that. And I was like, you don't have to say anything. Just a fictional daddy. I'm just saying, I'm glad that this is a cute family. Thank you so much. But then when I saw the illustrations, I was like, this is it, you know. And they just kept getting more intriguing and so intricate. And I just feel like he really embraced the vision that I had, and I'm so excited about that.
Yeah, even the body language and the how they take up the space, I think are phenomenal. And I know people will. I'm excited to actually experience, to take the ribbon off the book and experience the book again. I love that. I love that because it's like, oh, you're waiting on a present. Like we're waiting on a present on Friday. So I guess the last question that I would have, well, actually two. Can I ask two more questions?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So what has been your favorite part of this journey?
Oh, it was there was so much about it. You know, I have noticed my consistent smile about this book. Mm-hmm. And so it's really hard to break that down. I know finishing it and being like, you just wrote it. After it had been an idea in my head was a moment. Teaming up with an illustrator, that was my first time. So first time children's author, first time on a project with the illustrator, and then us finishing it. Yeah. And me being such a part of the design of it, like being able to know this character and the story enough to fight for certain things or suggest certain things or reject certain things and be very clear, like, okay, well, you know, the dad has to look like this, or at least, the mom's complexion should be this, or can you change that facial expression? It needs to be, can this item be here, so that when children are hearing those who read to them say certain things, there's this visual reference. And it's not that the illustrator didn't know these things, because he's extremely professional, but I had to be very clear, and so that growth for me was awesome. Being able to have a working relationship with someone, and be very clear and be not afraid to disagree, was growth for me, because I've not had to do that. All of my projects was just me. The most that I was asking someone to do was design a cover. But here we're talking about, 16 pages or so. And so that process was so enlightening, but it was also affirming for me, not only as a writer, but I guess I'm an artist in some sense, but I was like, you know some things. Like, I felt that. That was prideful for me. And then also the response. I think that people's excitement about this, people's trust in me, is just so beautiful. Because some of my other projects, if an idea comes, I can do it. I was watching Jingle Jangle with my niece.
Oh, yeah.
And she repeated a line and it made me so happy. When one of the young characters said, he said, well, how do you know you can do it? And she said something like, who says that I can't? Or why would I think that I can? I forget the exact words. And my 9-year-old niece was like, that's right. Who says you can't? And I just love that.
Oh,
even
my
if she
goodness.
was multitasking, she stopped what she was doing on her phone and she repeated the line. And I was like, yeah,
oh, that feels good.
And so that's how I feel about this. I didn't take a class on anything, I'm, like you said earlier, my writing has always been geared creatively towards adults, or now this dissertation, this academic writing, which is also kicking my butt. This was a nice surprise and a nice outlet. So that's a very long answer, but like the whole thing has just been good, and the conversations I have with the Lord.
Yes.
You gave me this, and I appreciate you dropping it on me when you did, because it's I call it a beautiful distraction, but it's an awesome place for my energy to land right now. And I'm really, really excited about it.
That is beautiful. That was a perfect length answer. It's not long.
Okay, I was like, don't say too much.
No, that's perfect. That's perfect. So now we're all excited to meet Mario.
I hope
Friday.
So. Yeah.
We're going to take this virtual trip to the museum and this book. We're going to have this conversation. We're going to follow hashtag Mario Goes to the Museum online. We're going to go to drRebeccaDupas.com and get on your mailing list to stay in tune to see what's next. So while we're on here, can you give us a few ideas, like what's next for you? What's next for Mario? Like, what can we expect after this? I'm already excited. We're ready to go to the museum, and we want to know what else is coming. What can we expect from you?
So I would love, and I plan to, so let me speak more confidently about that. Let me affirm myself. I plan to create a series around Mario. I loved the conversation we had in the live reading, that this is Mario's first journey, and because I have so many thoughts in my head, because my research is around diversity training and education, and I'm consistently thinking about the experiences of Black and Brown children through education. Museum is just another platform for education in my mind. Like, it starts there, and there are so many different institutions, organizations, and experiences that Mario can have, where we can really explore his life through the lens of a little Black boy doing things. I really want to see what comes to me next, where Mario ventures next, and that'll be the next book in the series. Maybe one day Mario will have a little sister. I don't know, but I'm open to all of that. I think that even before this book is released on Friday, I'm already addicted to the possibility of inspiring children through this particular avenue. So yeah, we're gonna see where Mario goes next. Mario might have some paraphernalia, in a couple of weeks or months. So maybe the babies will fall in love with Mario and they'll want to put Mario stickers on their lunchbox. I don't know, but I'm here for it. I am open. My mind, my heart, my spirit, my energy is all open to going along this ride. But right now I'm in a space where I'm trying to see what Mario wants to do. A friend of mine used to say, your characters will speak to you. And so I'll be watching intently at the response from, friends, family, and people who don't know me from Adam. Mm-hmm. And then figuring out how I can use Mario to continue some very powerful, is what I hope, conversations, in and around the community.
That is so exciting. Well, thank you so much for your continued commitment to educating, because like you said, the museum is one platform, art is a platform, like you use every possible platform to meet that mission. I think it's commendable. I know it will be rewarded. I have absolutely zero questions or doubts that this will be well received. And one of the best ways that you can educate adults is a lot of the times educating children. So sometimes we need to hear it in layman's terms as well. We need to be reinvigorated and excited about realizing that we're precious items too. So thank you for sharing this precious item with us today. And I look forward to seeing you online on Amazon, because the whole building, like at this point, I feel like you'll be at the door, like greeting us, all that great stuff. But I will see you on Amazon Friday.
Yes.
And I can't
wait to
hold my copy in my hands and use the hashtag and write a review. So that's the other part.
Help a sister out. I want to make a strong Amazon debut. I encourage people to grab a copy or more of the book whenever they are able to, but certainly if you can, meet me there on Friday, the 20th, that exact date, if it's within your means to do so. And I will be at every single Amazon location packaging this book for you.
She'll be in the computer, on the internet, right?
I'm gonna be Santa Claus.
I love it.
On November the 20th. But yeah, that's my debut day. And presence does matter. So for everyone who can make it on the 20th in particular, meet me there.
Absolutely.
I'll be there forever for it.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. I have enjoyed this conversation. I'm excited to meet Mario officially. And thank you again for this time.
Thank you so much, Asha.
My pleasure.
It was great talking to you.